The restaurant hums with the rhythm of other people's joy. Crystal glasses clink together like little bells, and waiters weave gracefully between tables carrying platters of steaming food. A chandelier hangs above like a constellation, scattering golden light across polished wood and velvet chairs. At the center of it all sits me wedged between cousins who talk over my head and an aunt who scrolls through her phone. The table is long, overflowing with dishes, roasted duck glistening with sauce, baskets of garlic bread, a tower of oysters on ice that trip into silver bowls. I want to feel part of this scene, yet something inside reminds me I am here on borrowed space, like a stranger clinging to someone else's celebration. "Pass the wine," my brother says, his voice smooth but distant. He doesn't look at me. His gaze cuts across me, landing on someone else. Always someone else. I pass the bottle anyway, forcing a small smile, the kind you wear when you're hoping not to be noticed too much. Laughter bursts from the other end of the table, where my brother's wife tells a story. Everyone leans in, captivated, their eyes lit with delight. I laugh too late, awkward, a beat behind the rhythm. It's the little moments that remind me. I am not stitched into their fabric. I'm a patch sewn loosely, one tug away from being ripped out. The waiter hovers near, polite but firm, holding a black leather folder. "Shall I bring the check?" My brother nods confidently, like the unspoken leader of this gathering. He has always been the center, the one who belongs so naturally, so completely, that the room shapes itself around him. The bill arrives. The waiter slides it onto the table with quiet grace, the leather folder resting like a weight no one wants to touch. My brother pulls it closer, opens it, and his eyebrows rise. $1,900, he mutters, a chuckle in his throat. Well, that's what you get for eating like kings. The table ripples with amused groans. Someone jokes about ordering too much champagne. Another laughs that oysters are liquid gold. The mood stays buoyant until my brother's eyes flick to me. He leans back, his smile sharpening. "Of course, we'll split this." I nod, already reaching for my wallet, though I know the number will scrape me raw. Still, I'd rather bleed quietly than draw attention. But then he laughs, loud, careless, and the words fall like a knife across the table. Actually, he gestures toward me, casual, almost playful. "Why should you pay? You're not even family." The table freezes. The laughter dies mid-breath. Glasses pause in mid-air. My chest caves in, like someone knocked the wind out of me. The words echo too loudly, bouncing off walls, louder than clinking glasses, louder than anything. "You're not even family." I stare at him, my throat dry, but no words come. He smirks as though it's just a joke, a harmless tease. But no one laughs. Not really. A cousin offers a weak chuckle, eyes darting nervously. My aunt looks down at her phone, suddenly fascinated by the screen. My brother's wife sips her wine, not meeting my gaze. Silence spreads, thick and heavy. The waiter, oblivious to the storm, waits with his polite, professional patience. I swallow hard, forcing my voice steady. "I'll pay my share," but my brother waves a dismissive hand. "Don't bother. This is between us. Family takes care of family." The word stings more with each repetition. Family, 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 like it's a club I'll never get into, no matter how many times I knock on the door. Heat burns behind my eyes. I blink hard, refusing to let the tears fall here. Not under these golden lights, not in front of strangers and people who should have been my own. I place my wallet back slowly, my hands trembling under the table where no one can see. My voice shrinks into silence, trapped in my chest. The waiter clears his throat gently. "So, will it be all on one card, or?" My brother nods. "Yes, put it on ours." The waiter collects the folder, bowing slightly, and disappears into the crowd. The table resumes its shallow chatter, but it's brittle now, strained. I sit frozen, my fork untouched, my heart pounding like it's trying to break free from my ribs. Every bite of laughter around me tastes of ash. Every face feels blurred, distant, like I'm watching from behind glass. I shouldn't care so much. It's just words. But words cut deeper than knives when they come from the people who are supposed to hold you close. I hear my brother's voice again, replaying in my mind like a cruel echo. You're not even family. The meal drags on, though I no longer taste anything. Dishes are cleared, desserts appear, coffee is poured. My hands remain clasped on my lap, stiff and cold, while my mind spirals. No one defends me. No one says, "Of course you're family." Don't be cruel. The silence of their absence hurts worse than his words. When the plates are empty and chairs scrape back, I rise quietly. My movements are mechanical, my smile thin and rehearsed. "Good night," I murmur, though no one really hears. I walk out into the night air, cool and sharp against my face. The restaurant's golden glow spills onto the sidewalk, but I step away quickly, letting the darkness swallow me. My footsteps echo on the pavement. Each one feels heavy, but also freeing, like distance is the only thing keeping me from collapsing. A neon sign flickers above the street, buzzing faintly, casting red and blue shadows across wet asphalt. My reflection ripples in a puddle, fractured and incomplete. The city around me moves on, cars rush past. Laughter spills from open doors. Music hums from passing windows. Life doesn't pause for heartbreak. I tilt my head back, staring at the night sky, blurred by city lights. For a moment, I let the tears slip, hot against the cold air. You're not even family. The words linger, haunting, and yet deep in the quiet ache of my chest, something small stirs. A whisper, a question. If I am not family to them? And maybe, just maybe, I can find a place where I am. The night is colder than I expect. The kind of cold that doesn't just bite the skin, but seeps into the bones, quiet and merciless. My coat feels too thin, the scarf around my neck too loose, as though nothing can shield me from the sting of the words that replay in my head. You're not even family. I shove my hands deep into my pockets, shoulders hunched as I walk down streets that blur into shadows and neon. The city is alive, people spilling from bars with flushed faces, couples laughing arm in arm, the faint beat of music slipping through half-open doors. To them, the night is celebration. To me, it is exile. My reflection flashes in shop windows as I pass. A stranger with tired eyes, lips pressed into a line, footsteps dragging like the weight of an anchor. Each pane of glass reminds me of the restaurant. How I sat invisible at a table meant for belonging, but felt more like furniture than flesh. A car passes, headlights sweeping over me, pulling me back into memories I never asked for. I see myself as a child, sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, building castles out of mismatched Lego blocks. My brother had stormed in, taller, louder, commanding all the space without even trying. "That's not how it's done," he had said, kicking down the fragile walls I had built. I remember crying, and I remember how quickly he laughed at my tears. That laughter feels the same as tonight, sharp, careless, cruel. The echo of it rattles in my chest, mixing with another sound, silence. Not the comfortable silence of safety, but the heavy silence of being unclaimed, unwanted. I stop at the corner of a bridge, leaning against the railing. Below, the river glimmers with fractured reflections of streetlights, a restless surface that refuses to stay still. I stare into it, wondering if water remembers the sky it mirrors, or if it forgets as soon as the ripples break the image apart. That's what I feel like. Broken reflections, pieces of something that once felt whole. A voice breaks through my thoughts. "You okay, man?" I glance up, startled. A stranger walks by, a cigarette glowing between his fingers, his breath visible in the cold. He doesn't wait for my answer. He keeps walking, vanishing into the dark. I want to answer. I want to scream. No, I'm not okay. My own brother just told me I don't belong in the family I grew up in. But the words don't leave my throat. Instead, I swallow them down, another weight pressing against the silence. I push off the railing and keep walking. Every step is heavy, yet necessary. The streets blur until I reach my apartment building, an old brick structure with a flickering hallway light that buzzes like a fly trapped in glass. I climb the stairs slowly, my body moving out of habit more than will dot inside. The apartment greets me with silence four walls that neither judge nor comfort. I toss my coat onto a chair, my scarf unraveling onto the floor. I don't pick it up. I collapse onto the couch, burying my face into my hands. For a long time, I don't move. The silence here is different from the restaurant. It isn't heavy with judgment. It's heavy with emptiness, and emptiness is sometimes worse. I close my eyes, and the past rises uninvited again. Family dinners, where my brother's voice always carried louder than mine. Birthdays where my presence felt like an afterthought. School plays where no one showed up to clap just for me. Yet, there were moments too small, fleeting, that once convinced me I mattered. My mother's hand smoothing my hair when I was sick. The way my father taught me to ride a bike on a quiet Sunday morning. My brother and I racing each other in the backyard until the sun dipped low. Were those memories lies? Or did they just expire? I press my palms against my eyes, trying to block it all out. But silence has a way of magnifying thoughts, turning them into thunder. You're not even family. The phrase loops, but this time it tastes different. Not like a wound, but like a question. If I am not theirs, then who am I? My chest rises and falls heavily. There is pain, yes. But beneath the pain, like a spark under ash, there's something else. A stubbornness. A whisper that maybe, just maybe, I don't need to beg for a seat at a table where I'm unwelcome. Maybe I can build my own. The thought scares me because it means letting go of years spent waiting for approval that will never come. But it also steadies me. A tiny anchor in the storm that the clock on the wall ticks past midnight. The apartment feels colder now, yet I sit up straighter, my hands unclenching. For the first time tonight, I breathe deeply, painful, but full. The silence still weighs on me, but it doesn't drown me. It pushes me toward something else. Toward a future I can't see yet, but one I want to believe in. I stand, walking to the small window. The city outside is a patchwork of light, tiny stars trapped in glass towers. Somewhere in that vastness, life continues. Somewhere in that vastness, maybe someone exists who will look at me and not ask if I belong, but simply say, "You do." The thought is fragile, but it keeps me standing at the window long after my body begs to collapse. I don't know when the tears finally dry. I don't know when my breath stops trembling. I only know that when I finally pull the curtains shut, the silence feels less like a punishment and more like a space waiting to be filled. The rain falls in soft sheets, washing the city in silver. Pavement glistens beneath passing headlights. Umbrellas bloom like dark flowers, and the air smells faintly of wet earth and roasted beans from the cafe tucked at the corner of the street. I slip inside, shaking the drizzle from my hair. The cafe is a cocoon-warm light spilling across wooden tables, the hiss of the espresso machine punctuating the hum of quiet chatter. It smells of cinnamon, coffee, and something sweet baking in the oven. I choose a seat by the window, away from the clusters of friends and couples. Alone, as usual, my hands wrap around the warm ceramic cup when the barista brings my order. Black coffee, no sugar. The first sip burns, bitter and sharp, but I welcome it. It matches the ache in my chest that I pull out a book I've been pretending to read for weeks. The words blur, refusing to settle. My mind drifts back to that night, the bill, my brother's voice, the silence that followed. Each time I replay it, the wound feels fresh. I sigh, closing the book. That's when I notice him dot across the room. At a corner table sits a man with messy hair that falls into his eyes and a half-empty mug at his side. He's sketching in a notebook, his brow furrowed, but his gaze lifts when he feels mine. Our eyes meet just for a moment. His are the color of autumn leaves, warm, layered, impossible not to notice. And unlike every other glance I've endured lately, his doesn't skim over me. It lingers, curious, gentle. I look away quickly, heart tightening. But a few minutes later, a voice interrupts my solitude. "Excuse me." I glance up. He stands at my table, holding his mug, notebook tucked under his arm. His smile is hesitant but genuine. "Would you mind if I sat here?" Place is a bit full. I glance around. There are other empty seats, though fewer now that the rain is pushing people inside. Still, something in his tone makes me nod. "Sure." He sits, setting his mug down carefully. Up close, he looks even more disarming. His hair damp from the rain, his sweater a little frayed at the cuffs, but his presence. "Steady. You're reading," he says, nodding toward the book on the table. "Trying to," I reply, my voice soft, unsure if I want conversation. "What is it?" I turn the book over, showing the cover. His eyes light up. I love that author. Their characters always feel like people you've met before. Something in his enthusiasm draws a small smile from me, unbidden. Yeah, though I haven't been able to focus much lately. He studies me for a beat, not with judgment, but with an openness that feels unsettlingly kind. "Bad week?" I let out a short laugh, though it holds no humor. "Bad month, maybe." He doesn't pry. Instead, he takes a sip of his coffee, then says, "I'm Daniel." I hesitate, then offer my name in return. It feels strange on my tongue, as though sharing it makes me vulnerable. Daniel's smile softens. "Nice to meet you." We fall into a rhythm. The conversation starting with the book, but drifting easily favorite films, the rain, why cafes feel safer than bars. His voice is low, steady, the kind you want to lean closer to just to catch every word dot at one point. He glances at my untouched cup. "You don't like your coffee?" "I like it," I say quickly, though the bitterness has been hard to swallow tonight. He chuckles, sliding his mug toward me. "Try this." It's a vanilla latte. Sweet, but comforting. I hesitate, then take a sip. Warmth spreads across my tongue, rich and soft. I hand it back, embarrassed by how much I liked it. Better than mine. His grin widens, boyish, and for the first time in days, something loosens in my chest. The rain intensifies outside, streaking the windows. Inside, the cafe grows quieter, people leaving one by one. We remain, cocooned in our corner, words filling spaces where silence used to sit heavy dot at one point. The conversation pauses. Daniel studies me, his expression gentle. "You looked lonely when I walked in." The words hit me harder than expected. I shift, uncomfortable, but I can't deny it. "I guess I was." "You're not now," he says simply. Something inside me trembles. It's been so long since anyone has spoken to me without edges, without dismissal or cruelty. I look at him, really look. His eyes hold no pity, just presence. As though he's saying, "I see you," and it's terrifying and beautiful. I want to tell him about the restaurant, about my brother, about the words that still bruise my chest. But the story feels too raw, too heavy for this fragile moment dot. So instead, I whisper, "Thank you." He tilts his head. "For what?" "For sitting here, 4. Noticing. His smile is soft, almost shy. Sometimes noticing is the easiest thing in the world. The hard part is when no one does. The truth of it makes my throat tighten. We linger until the barista begins stacking chairs, signaling closing time. Daniel stands, slipping his notebook under his arm again. Maybe we'll run into each other here again? His tone is casual, but his kind eyes, carry something more. I nod, my heart betraying me with its sudden quickening. Yeah, maybe. As he leaves, he glances back once, lifting his hand in a small wave. I find myself smiling as the door swings shut behind him, the sound of rain rushing back in. For the first time since that night, the silence inside me feels less heavy. Not gone, but lighter. The first raindrop splashes against the back of Alex's hand like a cool fingertip, unexpected yet oddly comforting. He looks up just in time to see the dark clouds split open above the cafe-lined street. The once golden late afternoon turns silver gray, painted in the melancholy shimmer of sudden rain. Beside him, Evelyn gasps softly, clutching her coat tighter. "Oh no," she mutters, glancing at the sky as though she could scold it back into restraint. "I should have brought an umbrella." Alex chuckles, already fumbling inside his bag. "Lucky for you. I'm always over-prepared." From the depths, he pulls out a folded navy umbrella. He shakes it open, the metal ribs snapping into place with a sharp click. He holds it above them, its fabric canopy spreading wide enough for two. Evelyn hesitates only a moment before stepping closer, the gentle brush of her shoulder against his arm, stirring something deep in his chest. The street explodes into a dance of ripples as rain pelts down, bouncing off car roofs, streaking cafe windows, pooling in the grooves of cobblestone. People scatter, ducking beneath awnings and dashing across the road. Yet here, beneath the small blue shelter, Alex and Evelyn are cocooned in their own world, close enough to feel each other's warmth, close enough to notice the small, unguarded things. The way Evelyn's lashes bead with tiny droplets. The way her lips curve when she's trying not to laugh. "This feels like something out of a movie," Evelyn says, half smiling as she looks up at him. "You know, the cliché where two strangers meet, and then..." The rain starts. Her words hang in the air, more dangerous than the cold drizzle outside. Alex tilts his head, watching her expression carefully. "And then what happens?" he asks softly. She laughs, light and self-conscious, shaking her head. That's the part one never remember. Maybe the movie ends before it really begins. A silence slips between them, not uncomfortable, but charged, threaded with possibilities neither dares to name. The rain hammers steadily, filling the pauses like a heartbeat. They start walking, their footsteps in sync, the umbrella bobbing gently with their movements. The world feels smaller, simpler, the chaos of honking cars and rushing strangers blurring into background noise. "Do you like rain?" Alex asks, glancing sideways at her dot. Evelyn tucks a damp strand of hair behind her ear. "I used to. As a kid, I'd run outside barefoot, spinning in it until I was soaked. My mom would laugh and wrap me in a towel when I came back in. But now, I don't know. It feels different. Heavier somehow." Alex nods, understanding more than she realizes. "Sometimes it feels like it's not just the sky crying," he says quietly. "Like it's all the things we've tried not to feel." Her gaze shifts toward him, steady and searching. "Is that how it feels for you?" He almost doesn't answer. The words balance on the edge of his tone, fragile and raw. "Yeah," he admits at last. "Tonight it feels like the rain knows something I don't, like it's washing away the things I'm still too afraid to face." Their eyes meet beneath the umbrella, and something clicks, the unspoken recognition of shared loneliness. Evelyn swallows, her lips parting as though she wants to say more, but then she only whispers, "I know that feeling." For a moment, Alex wants to reach for her hand, to let the warmth of human touch bridge the aching distance inside him. But he doesn't. Instead, he shifts the umbrella slightly so the rain doesn't splash her side, a small gesture that feels bigger than words. The two continue down the pavement, laughter occasionally bursting free when the wind flips the umbrella backward or a passing car splashes water dangerously close. The laughter feels like rebellion against betrayal, against silence, against the loneliness they've both carried too long. At one point, Evelyn stops in the middle of the sidewalk, lifting her face to the sky just beyond the umbrella's edge. Droplets cling to her lashes like tiny jewels, sliding down her cheeks. She looks radiant, unafraid, as though daring the rain to baptize her in its honesty. "You look." Alex begins, then falters, the weight of sincerity threatening to topple him. "You look free." She opens her eyes and studies him, rain trailing down her temple. "And you look like you've been holding something in for too long." The words hit harder than the rain. He exhales, a laugh tumbling out, though it carries no humor. "You're not wrong." "Then maybe tonight's the night you let go," she says softly. Almost like an invitation. Alex stares at her, the storm swirling around them, the umbrella shielding only a fraction of their bodies, but none of their truths. He wants to tell her everything about the restaurant, the betrayal, the hollow ache of family that feels like strangers. Instead, he manages only, "I don't know if I deserve to." Her expression softens, eyes shimmering. Everyone deserves to. The rain grows heavier, drumming on rooftops, rushing into gutters, drowning out the city's noise. Time slows. Beneath the umbrella, the space between them feels unbearably fragile. One step, one word, one breath could shatter or transform everything. Alex's hand twitches at his side, and Evelyn notices. Slowly, deliberately, she brushes her fingers against his. The contact so delicate, it could be mistaken for accident. But it's not. The warmth lingers, trembling between them, until he finally curls his hand around hers. It's small, this act of defiance against loneliness, but it feels monumental. Like the rain, it cleanses. Like the rain, it begins something new. Yet even as his heart stirs with unexpected hope, guilt slithers in quiet, insidious. He thinks of his brother's words, of the longing denied. Can he allow himself this warmth when rejection still bruises his soul? Evelyn must sense his hesitation, because she squeezes his hand gently. "You don't have to know where this goes," she murmurs. "You just have to walk with me." For now. And so they walk, two figures beneath one umbrella, laughter and silence weaving together, their footsteps echoing against the rain-slicked pavement. But as they reach the end of the street, lightning flashes in the distance, illuminating Evelyn's face for a heartbeat. Something flickers in her eyes, something unspoken, a shadow of her own secrets. Alex feels it. A question forming. A story untold. And just as he's about to ask, thunder rolls overhead, and the moment slips away. The storm has softened by the time they reach the quiet curve of the street. The umbrella is speckled with droplets that glisten under the streetlights, glowing like fractured stars. Their shoes squish against the soaked pavement, each step releasing the faint scent of earth and rain. Alex holds the umbrella steady, but his mind is anything but. He keeps replaying the way Evelyn looked at him earlier, open, searching, as though she could see the places he hides. The weight of it lingers, pressing against the old ache inside him. Evelyn breaks the silence. "You were miles away just now." He glances at her, forcing a smile. "Was I?" She tilts her head, studying him. "You do that sometimes." Your eyes drift, like you're staring at ghosts. The word sends a shiver through him. Ghosts, yes, that's exactly what they are. Faces, voices, echoes of laughter that once held warmth, but later turned cold. He feels his chest tighten, and before he can stop it, a memory crashes in. The restaurant. A heavy mahogany table. Plates stacked with food that suddenly tastes like dust. His brother's voice, sharp and final. You're not even family. Everyone staring. No one defending. The humiliation crawling up his throat. Too bitter to swallow. The bill $1,900 slapped down like a verdict. Silence heavier than words. Alex blinks hard, pulling himself back. His hand tightens around the umbrella handle. You're quiet, Evelyn says gently, her tone free of judgment. Just noticing. Just waiting. It's nothing, he lies, the words automatic. But she stops walking, turning to face him fully. The umbrella tilts, and a streak of cold rain splashes across his shoulder. She doesn't even notice. It's not nothing. I don't know you well, Alex, but I know that silence can weigh more than words. He exhales, a humorless laugh breaking free. You're surprisingly good at reading people. I'm not reading, she counters softly. I'm listening. There's a difference. The distinction unsettles him. He looks away, watching raindrops trickle down the lamplight's glass casing. Listening. No one ever truly listened before. His chest tightens again. He wants to speak, but his throat feels barricaded. He wonders if letting the words out will shatter him or worse. Make her step back. Evelyn shifts closer under the umbrella, her presence steady. What happened to you? She asks quietly. What made you look at kindness like it's a trick? Her question strikes deep, peeling back layers he's worked years to keep hidden. He swallows, voice breaking low. Family happened. She waits. No rush, no push. Just space. He drags a hand through his damp hair, the rain clinging like unwelcome memories. You spend your whole life thinking blood means safety, belonging, that no matter how the world treats you, home's different. But for me, home was a place where I was, tolerated at best, ignored most of the time. And when I finally thought I'd grown into my place, they reminded me I didn't belong at all. His voice trembles, but once the door opens, the words spill. At that table, my brother looked at me like I was a stranger, and no one said otherwise. It wasn't about the money. It was the reminder that I wasn't worth defending, that maybe I never was. The confession hangs in the rain-heavy air, raw and unvarnished. Evelyn's eyes soften, her lashes catching droplets. I'm so sorry, she whispers, and it's not pity. It's something else, an ache that matches his own. But Alex shakes his head, his mouth curling into a bitter line. Sorry doesn't change the fact that maybe they were right. Maybe I've just been fooling myself, thinking I ever belonged anywhere. Evelyn steps closer, so close he can feel the warmth radiating through her damp coat. She speaks firmly, her voice quiet but unyielding. You don't get to let them decide your worth. People can fail you. Families can fail you. That doesn't mean you don't belong. It just means you haven't found where you do yet. Her words pierce him, dangerous in their tenderness. For a heartbeat, he wants to believe her. He wants to let the fragile hope settle in. But guilt stirs like an anchor. What if this is just another illusion? He asks, voice barely audible. What if this, you and me walking in the rain, it disappears tomorrow like everything else? Evelyn holds his gaze, unwavering. Then let it be real for tonight. Sometimes one night of truth is enough to remind us what we deserve. Her conviction silences him. The rain has slowed to a drizzle now, the air cool and damp. They stand beneath the umbrella, inches apart, surrounded by the hush of a city, paused in storm's aftermath. Alex studies her face, the calm strength, the unguarded honesty. And for the first time in years, he feels seen, not for what he lacks, but for what he is. The thought terrifies him. I don't know if I can believe that yet, he admits, voice raw. You don't have to, she whispers. Just let me believe it for you until you can. The umbrella shifts as she steps even closer, her hand brushing his, lingering. The warmth of her touch spreads through him like fire, chasing away Frost Dot, and in that moment, Alex realizes how desperately he wants to trust her, how much he fears losing her before he even has the right to hold on. The silence between them changes, no longer heavy, but fragile, electric. He feels the pull, undeniable, dangerous. But then Evelyn blinks, her expression flickering something shadowed, crossing her eyes. She looks away, retreating a step, though her hand still lingers against his. "What about you?" he asks softly, sensing the shift. "What ghosts are you carrying?" She hesitates. Her lips part, then close again. Finally, she shakes her head. "Not tonight." The words slice sharper than he expects. "Not tonight." Which means there is something she isn't ready to say. Alex nods slowly, but the ache of curiosity digs deep. He knows what silence feels like, and now hers presses heavy between them. The drizzle finally stops. The clouds begin to thin, revealing a slice of moonlight that glows against the wet pavement. Evelyn steps out from under the umbrella, tilting her face toward the sky, letting the cool air kiss her skin. Alex watches her, torn between awe and unease. She looks luminous, but her silence is louder than any thunder. And as the quiet stretches, he realizes, trusting her might mean risking another heartbreak. But not trusting might mean losing the first spark of belonging he's felt in years. The night air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of rain still clinging to the city streets. A fine mist lingers in the air, silvered under streetlights, giving the world a soft, cinematic glow. Alex walks beside Evelyn in silence, his steps falling into rhythm with hers, but inside his chest, chaos brews. They've been circling the quiet neighborhood for nearly half an hour, talking about trivial things books she's been reading. A cafe he discovered years ago, the way autumn always smells faintly of endings. Yet beneath each word, Alex feels the pressure building, like water pushing against a crack in a dam. He knows what he's hiding won't stay buried much longer. Evelyn notices the tension. She always does. Her eyes, calm yet searching, drift to him as they turn down a quieter street lined with tall, whispering trees. "You're doing it again," she says softly. "Doing what?" "Carrying something so heavy you forget how to breathe." Her voice is light, but the weight of her observation sinks into him. Alex exhales, the truth clawing against his ribs. He wants to deflect, make a joke, but the words slip out before he can stop them. "Do you know what it feels like to be erased while you're still sitting at the table?" Evelyn slows her steps, her brow furrowing. "Erased?" The dam cracks. His voice comes low, shaky. "That night, the restaurant. My brother, he looked right at me, across the table, and said I wasn't family. And everyone else, they just sat there, silent, like he'd spoken something true." He stops walking, pressing a hand against a cold iron fence, as though steadying himself. "I thought maybe they'd argue. Say something. Tell him he was wrong. But no one did. Not even my mother." The memory strikes him like glass, shattering all over again. His chest tightens, his throat burns. "They split the bill, Evelyn. And when the waiter brought it, my side, the not family side, was handed $1,900 to pay. Do you know how it feels to have your worth measured in a receipt?" The words echo down the quiet street. His hands tremble as he forces himself to continue. "I walked home that night, feeling like the ground had vanished beneath me. Like every laugh, every birthday, every hug from childhood had been a lie they tolerated until I outgrew it." His breath stumbles. He expects Evelyn to look away, to shrink from the rawness in his voice. Instead, she steps closer, her hand brushing his arm with a steady warmth. "Alex," she whispers. Not with pity. With understanding. Her touch grounds him. He swallows, shaking his head. I don't even care about the money. It's what it meant. That in their eyes, I'm not worth belonging. That maybe I never was. For a moment, silence hangs between them. The mist drifts like fragile smoke, and Alex feels exposed, the wound too visible. Then Evelyn reaches for his hand. Her fingers curl around his firmly, not tentative, not cautious, just certain. Her palm is warm against his chilled skin, her grip unyielding. You are worth more than their blindness, she says quietly, but with a steel edge to her voice. They failed you. That doesn't mean you failed. Alex's throat tightens, emotion clawing upward. Why do you say that like it's so simple? Because it is, she answers. Her gaze doesn't waver. People can be cruel, even the ones who should love us most. But their cruelty doesn't rewrite who you are. It doesn't decide your worth. They don't get that power unless you hand it to them. Her words hit him harder than his brothers ever did. Not because they wound, but because they feel dangerous in their kindness. Dangerous in how much he wants to believe them. You sound so sure, he whispers. I am, she says. Because when I look at you, Alex, I don't see rejection. I see someone who survived it. I see someone who still has the courage to sit across from me and share his scars instead of hiding them. The crack widens in his chest, not from breaking, but from the first fragile push of something growing. Something he hasn't let himself feel in years. Hope. They stand there, hand in hand, the street lamps painting halos around their shadows. You're the first person, Alex admits, voice barely audible, who hasn't looked away when I said those things. Evelyn's grip tightens, her thumb brushing across his knuckles. That's because I'm not afraid of your scars. I've got my own. Her words make him pause, his gaze sharp on her. Then why won't you tell me about them? She hesitates, a flicker of something shadowed passing through her eyes. She looks away, her breath visible in the cool air. Because mine aren't ready to be spoken yet. The honesty in her evasion stings, but he doesn't press. He knows what it means to have walls. Still, he searches her profile, her jaw set against some invisible weight. Someday? He asks softly. Evelyn looks back at him, her eyes luminous under the streetlight. Someday. For now, that's enough. They resume walking, their hands still linked. The silence between them is no longer suffocating. It hums with unspoken promises, fragile but alive. As they near the park, the world feels suspended, the mist weaving around them like a veil. Alex studies their joined hands, the simple tether holding him steady. I don't know why you're doing this, he murmurs. Doing what? Carrying me when I can barely carry myself. She smiles softly, a smile that doesn't reach for grand explanations. Because you do the same for me. The simplicity of her answer unravels him. He feels the sting of tears, but doesn't look away. For the first time, he lets them fall, the cool air drying them almost as soon as they escape. Evelyn doesn't comment. She only squeezes his hand tighter, as if promising she won't let go. And Alex realizes the wall he built around himself is no longer unbreakable. A crack has formed, and through it, light is beginning to seep. Yet even as warmth blooms in his chest, a sliver of fear lingers. He knows love is never simple. Trust is never without cost. And though Evelyn's presence feels like safety, he cannot ignore the shadows in her eyes, the ones she keeps locked away. Because if there's one truth he's learned, it's this. Walls don't fall without revealing what's hidden behind them. The cafe had become their refuge. Its dim amber lighting, the low hum of quiet conversations, and the comforting aroma of roasted coffee beans created a cocoon against the outside world. Tonight, though, the air felt different, charged, as if the universe itself leaned in to watch. They sat across from each other in the corner booth, mugs steaming between them. Every time their eyes met, the protagonist's chest tightened with something terrifying and beautiful. "You're smiling again." The stranger no. Not a stranger anymore, but Daniel observed gently. His voice carried warmth, like the sound of rain on leaves. "It suits you." The protagonist looked down quickly, embarrassed by the heat rushing to their cheeks. "Do I really smile that rarely?" "Not rarely," Daniel said, shaking his head. "Just carefully. Like you're afraid someone might snatch it away if you let it linger." The words struck deep. For a moment, the protagonist couldn't respond. How could he see through them so easily, peeling back defenses no one else ever bothered to notice? They busied themselves by stirring sugar into their coffee. Though it no longer needed it, Daniel leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. "I hope you know I'd never take it away. In fact, I'd guard it. Like something precious." The protagonist's throat tightened. They wanted to say something witty, something to deflect, but the truth pressed harder. "You shouldn't say things like that," they whispered. "Why not?" Because I might believe you." Silence pulled between them, heavy but not uncomfortable. Daniel's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. He didn't push, didn't demand. Instead, he reached across the table, his fingers brushing theirs. The contact was brief, almost hesitant, yet it lit a fire that spread through the protagonist's entire body. It was terrifying. And it was home. Later, they walked together through the park, the night air cool and filled with the scent of jasmine. Lamp posts glowed like scattered stars, and laughter from distant groups echoed faintly. Daniel walked close, his hand brushing theirs every few steps, as if waiting for permission to take it. The protagonist glanced at him, at the easy way he carried himself, at the softness in his eyes that made them ache. "I'm not used to this," they admitted quietly. "To what?" "To being seen. To someone actually wanting to know me." Daniel stopped walking and turned to face them fully. His expression was steady, serious. "Then get used to it, because I do want to know you. All of you, the good, the scars, the silences, everything." The words cracked something inside. Tears pricked, but they forced a shaky laugh. "You make it sound so simple. Love usually is. It's people who make it complicated." The protagonist stared at him, heart pounding. Love. He had said the word casually, without pressure, but it hung in the air like a promise. They weren't ready to answer it, not yet. But the idea no longer felt impossible. They resumed walking, slower this time. Finally, Daniel reached out and took their hand, intertwining their fingers as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Warmth spread up their arm, anchoring them in the moment. For the first time in years, the protagonist felt safe. Back in their apartment later, the silence felt less suffocating than it used to. They replayed every look, every word, every fleeting touch. Their heart whispered something dangerous. Maybe this is what home feels like. Their phone buzzed. The sound jolted them. They picked it up reluctantly, expecting a meaningless notification. But the name on the screen froze them in place. Brother. For years. That name had been synonymous with disdain, with cold shoulders at family dinners, with sharp words that left invisible scars. Their chest tightened as they read the message. "We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow." It's important. The coffee warmth in their veins drained away, replaced by ice. The world tilted, crashing them back into shadows they thought they'd escaped. Why now? Why, just as they had begun to feel whole, to feel like life could be more than survival? The phone slipped from their hands onto the couch. They pressed trembling fingers to their lips, as though that could hold back the flood of memories. The laughter that excluded them, the whispered judgments, the final humiliation at the restaurant. A knock sounded at the door. They startled. When they opened it, Daniel stood there, holding 2 paper bags. "Thought you might want company." And Thai food. The sight of him nearly undid them. Relief and dread collided in their chest, the longing to fall into his arms, warring with the fear of being dragged back into old pain. He studied their face, concern flickering across his features. "Hey, what happened?" The protagonist swallowed hard. "It's my brother. He wants to meet." Daniel's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed gentle. "Do you want to?" "I don't know," they admitted, voice breaking. "Part of me wants to forget they even exist. But another part is still that child who wanted their approval." Daniel stepped closer, setting the bags down. His hand hovered near theirs, not forcing, just offering. "Whatever you decide, you won't face it alone. Not anymore." The words nearly shattered them. Tears slipped free, unbidden, and Daniel brushed one away with his thumb. His touch was tender, grounding. "Hey," he whispered, his forehead resting lightly against theirs. "You don't have to be strong right now. You just have to be honest with yourself, with me." The protagonist closed their eyes, leaning into him, breathing in the quiet strength he carried. For the first time, they considered the possibility that love might not just heal, it might shield. But the phone still lay on the couch, glowing faintly with the message that refused to disappear. The city was still half asleep when the protagonist left the apartment. The air carried a sharp chill, laced with dew and the faint aroma of morning bread drifting from unseen bakeries. Pale pink and gold stretched across the horizon, like bruises healing after a long night. They pulled their coat tighter, each step echoing with dread. Their phone buzzed in their pocket, Daniel's name glowing across the screen. "You don't have to do this alone." The words warmed them, even as anxiety curled tighter inside their chest. They wanted him beside them. They wanted his steady voice to cut through the storm. But this was something they had to face themselves. For years, they had been shadowed, diminished, silenced. Not today. The cafe their brother chose sat near the station, its windows fogged from the heat inside. Through the glass, the brother was already seated, posture stiff, a steaming cup before him. His silhouette was achingly familiar, the same squared jaw, the same impatient tapping of fingers on the table. A mirror of blood, but not of heart. The protagonist inhaled deeply, steadying the tremor in their lungs before pushing the door open. The bell above jingled. Their brother's gaze lifted instantly, sharp as flint. No smile, no warmth, just calculation. "You're late," he said, though it was only by 2 minutes. The protagonist sat down across from him, the chair legs scraping against the warm floor. "Good morning." Their brother's lips twitched into something that was not quite a smirk, not quite disdain. "So, you came." "I said I would." He leaned back, folding his arms. "I wasn't sure you'd have the guts. You always did like to run from things." The jab landed, but not as deeply as it once might have. The protagonist lifted their chin. "I'm here now, aren't I?" For a heartbeat, silence reigned between them, broken only by the hiss of the espresso machine and the murmur of distant conversations. Then the brother sighed, as if put upon. "Look, I didn't come here to fight." His tone was anything but conciliatory. "I just thought maybe you should finally hear the truth." "From me? The truth?" "Yes." His eyes narrowed, voice lowering into a blade's edge. "You always thought we treated you unfairly. But you were difficult. Always so sensitive. Always craving attention. Do you have any idea how exhausting that was?" The protagonist's hands curled around their coffee cup, heat biting their palms. "Sensitive," they repeated, their voice shaking. "You mean human." "I mean weak." The words sliced through the air like glass shattering. Once, that single accusation would have gutted them. Once, they would have shrunk back, shoulders bowed beneath its weight. But not today. They leaned forward, their voice steady despite the tremor in their chest. "No, I wasn't weak. I was alone, and none of you cared enough to see it. Their brother blinked, caught off guard by the steel in their tone. But his recovery was quick, bitterness spilling across his face. We had our own lives to live. You can't blame us for not coddling you. Coddling? The protagonist's laugh was hollow, sharp. Is that what you think I wanted? To be coddled? All I ever wanted was to be treated like I mattered. The cafe seemed to fall away, voices fading until only theirs remained, colliding like waves on jagged rocks. Their brother's jaw tightened. You always make yourself the victim. Maybe if you hadn't been so different, things would have been easier for everyone. The words struck deep, ripping open memories of laughter that excluded, whispers behind closed doors, that humiliating night at the restaurant. Their chest constricted, but instead of collapsing inward, anger surged outward, molten and alive. Different? Their voice rose, drawing a glance from a nearby table. Yes, I was different. And instead of trying to understand, you made sure I never forgot it. Every word, every silence, every cruel smirk you carved into me, until I doubted if I even deserved to exist. Do you know what that does to someone? The brother flinched, but masked it quickly with a scoff. You're exaggerating. No. The protagonist's hands trembled, but not with fear, with release. For years I believed you. I believed I was worthless, because that's what you taught me. But not anymore. Silence. Their words hung between them, heavy and unyielding. Their brother's mouth opened, then closed again, as if no retort could pierce the truth laid bare. Finally, he leaned back, sneering. So what now? You think you're better than us, because you found someone to stroke your ego? Daniel's face flashed in their mind, his soft eyes, his unwavering kindness, the way his hand fit perfectly into theirs. No, they said quietly, but firmly. I'm not better. I'm just free. For the first time in my life, I feel like I belong. Not because of you. In spite of you. Their brother's face hardened, but something flickered behind his eyes, fear, perhaps, or recognition. He drained the last of his coffee, set the cup down with a finality that cracked the air, and I guess there's nothing left to say. His voice was cold, final. You've made your choice. The protagonist's chest ached. For a moment, they wanted to reach across, to salvage something, anything, from the ruins of blood and history. But then they remembered the years of silence, the echoes of cruel laughter. They remembered the weight of being invisible. I didn't choose this, they whispered. You did. Every time you turned away. Every time you cut me down. This is what you built. Their brother stood, chair scraping harshly against the floor. His shadow loomed for a heartbeat, then turned and walked away, leaving the smell of bitter coffee in his wake. The protagonist sat frozen, staring at the empty chair. Their chest heaved, part victory, part grief. They had stood tall, had spoken truths long buried. But instead of triumph, only a hollow ache spread through them. The cafe noise slowly returned, the hiss of milk frothing, the clink of spoons, the low hum of life moving on. But inside, everything felt fractured. Their phone buzzed again. Daniel's name glowed. Are you okay? They stared at the screen, tears blurring the words. Slowly, they typed back, I don't know. Their reflection in the cafe window caught their eye. For the first time, they saw someone unbroken, not untouched, but unbowed. Someone standing on the cusp of something new, something terrifying, something real. But the wound of blood ran deep. The apartment was quiet when they returned, but it wasn't the comforting kind of quiet. It was the kind that pressed against the walls, heavy and suffocating. The keys slipped from their hand onto the counter with a hollow clatter. Daniel looked up from the sofa where he'd been waiting, his face etched with worry. His dark hair was mussed from restless fingers running through it, and his phone still glowed faintly in his palm. "You're back." His voice was gentle, tentative. "How did it go?" The protagonist's throat tightened. They wanted to say something simple. "It's over. It's fine." But the words stuck. Their chest still ached from their brother's voice, sharp and cold. Instead, they let out a shaky laugh, bitter and small. "How do you think it went?" They kicked off their shoes with more force than necessary, each thud against the floor louder than the last. "He tore me apart, Daniel." "And the worst part?" "I let him." Daniel rose, closing the distance slowly, as if approaching a wounded animal. "You didn't let him. You stood up to him. You told me you did." "Yeah, and what good did it do?" Their voice cracked, frustration boiling over. "He walked away, Daniel. Just walked away, like I was nothing. Like I'll always be nothing." Daniel reached out, but they stepped back, trembling. "Don't," they whispered. "Please, not right now." The rejection stung him. His hand faltered midair before falling uselessly to his side. A shadow crossed his face. "You're not nothing," he said softly. "You know that, don't you?" The words should have comforted. They should have been a balm. But instead, they ignited something jagged and furious inside. "Do I?" They spun on him, eyes brimming with tears. "Because right now, it feels like I'm clinging to you just to breathe. And maybe that's not fair to you. Maybe I'm just using you as a shield from all of this." They gestured wildly, as if the pain in their chest had physical shape. "From them." "From myself." Daniel's jaw tightened. His voice, usually patient, carried a rare edge. "Is that what you think this is? That I'm just a distraction?" "I don't know." Their voice cracked like glass breaking. "Maybe. I can't tell anymore. All I know is that I'm so tired of being hurt, and I don't want to drag you down into it." For a moment, Daniel said nothing. The silence stretched, thick with hurt. His eyes searched theirs, as if trying to find a part of them that still believed in what they had begun to build. "You're not dragging me down," he said finally, his tone low but firm. "But you are pushing me away. And I don't know how to stand here with open arms if you keep throwing your walls higher every time you're scared." The words cut deep, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. Guilt surged, mingling with the ache of betrayal and the fear of loss. "I'm sorry," they whispered, voice breaking. "I don't want to push you away. I don't know how to let someone stay." Daniel's shoulders softened. He stepped closer again, slower this time, his gaze never leaving theirs. "Then let me show you. Let me prove that I'm not going anywhere." Tears spilled freely now, hot against their cheeks. "What if you do? What if one day you wake up and decide I'm too much? Just like they did?" His breath hitched, pain flickering across his face. He reached up, gently cupping their cheek, thumb brushing away a tear. His hand was warm, steady, grounding. "I'm not them," he said, voice fierce now, burning with conviction. "I don't see you as a burden. I don't see you as too much. I see you every scar, every fear, every fragile piece, and I still choose you." Their chest constricted. The rawness of his words struck deeper than any cruelty ever had. They pressed a trembling hand against his wrist, holding it there, desperate for the anchor. "I don't know if I know how to be loved like that," they admitted. Daniel's lips curved into the faintest, saddest smile. "Then let me teach you. We'll learn together." For a moment, the storm eased. Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling in fragile synchrony. The silence between them wasn't heavy now. It was fragile, tender, like glass that could shatter but hadn't yet. But the wound the family ran too deep to heal in a single embrace. "I want to believe you," they whispered. "God, I do. But I'm so scared." Daniel kissed the corner of their tear-streaked cheek, lingering. "Then be scared. We'll face it scared, together. That's what love is. Their bodies shook with sobs, but this time, the tears weren't just from pain. They were from the terrifying relief of being seen. They collapsed into his arms, clinging as though the weight of the world might finally crush them otherwise. Daniel held them tightly, no hesitation, no restraint, as if holding them was the only thing that made sense in the chaos. For the first time, they realized love wasn't about erasing the past or filling a void family left. Love was about choosing, day after day, to stay. The fight, sharp and messy, had cracked something open, not shattered it. They weren't broken. They weren't healed. But maybe, just maybe, they were stronger. The apartment smells of roasted garlic and fresh bread. It's a scent that clings to the air like a promise, filling corners that once only knew silence. Tonight isn't about extravagance. There's no grand chandelier, no polished cutlery gleaming under fluorescent lights. The table is small, slightly uneven at one leg, draped with a linen cloth that has known better days. But to them, it feels like a cathedral, a place of worship, a place of rebirth. The protagonist moves around the table, adjusting plates, placing mismatched glasses beside each seat. Their partner, ever attentive, follows with a bottle of wine, pouring with the grace of someone who knows ritual can be holy even in its simplest form. You're fussing. Their partner teases gently, a smile tugging at the edge of their lips. I just want it to feel right, the protagonist replies, their hands smoothing the cloth one more time, as if neatness could anchor their heart. It already is right, the partner says, brushing their hand across theirs. Because it's us. A knock at the door interrupts. Friends filter in, voices bubbling, jackets tossed over chairs, laughter spilling as easily as the wine being poured. One by one, the seats fill. Conversations overlap, threads of warmth weaving into a tapestry richer than anything the protagonist's childhood table had ever offered. For a fleeting moment, their chest tightens. Memory creeps in the image of the brother, the cruel words, the $1,900 betrayal. The table back then had been long, polished, and cold. Their chair had felt like a punishment. Every glance across it a reminder of not belonging. But tonight is different. Hey, you're quiet, one friend says, breaking through the haze. You okay? The protagonist blinks, startled, then nods with a shaky smile. Yeah, better than okay. Glasses clink. Bread tears. The first bite of pasta is shared like a secret. And suddenly, the room glows not with chandeliers or candles, but with the hum of voices, the heat of trust, the miracle of being held by choice. Their partner leans in, whispering just for them. This is home, isn't it? Tears prick their eyes. Yeah, this is home. They had always thought home was a structure, a family bound by blood. But now they see, it's not about walls or surnames. It's about who pulls out a chair for you, who fills your plate without asking, who notices when your silence stretches too long and brings you back with a joke. Dinner flows. Laughter bursts. And with every passing moment, the bitterness of the past loosens. The betrayal had once been a scar that screamed, "You are unworthy." Now it feels like an old wound, sealed and softened, its ache transformed into strength. Halfway through the evening, someone raises a glass. To new beginnings, they say. To family, another adds. The protagonist hesitates, the words still tender on their tongue. But then they lift their glass too. To chosen family, they say, the phrase wrapping around the room like a protective charm. The clinking of glasses echoes. The sound is not sharp like breaking glass, but warm like bells announcing a new season. They glance at their partner, who is already looking at them. No words are needed. Their gaze is steady, promising. It's a gaze that says, I see you. I choose you. Always. Later, as plates empty and the last of the wine is poured, the group lingers. No one rushes. The table feels sacred, like leaving would break the spell. The protagonist leans back, their heart full. It occurs to them. The $1,900 loss wasn't the end of their story. It was the crack that let the light in. Without it, without the cruelty and the collapse, they might never have found this table, these people, this love. Their partner touches their hand under the table. "You're far away again," they murmur. "Not far," the protagonist replies, smiling through tears. "Just realizing I'm exactly where I need to be." The partner squeezes their hand, grounding them. Around them, laughter carries on, bright and unbroken. And in that moment, they understand, the betrayal no longer defines them. What defines them is this: choosing love, choosing family, choosing a seat at a new table where they finally belong.